to completing Part 2 of the New York State Early Learning Trainer Credential, the Portfolio. This webinar is designed to assist you in completing the portfolio process for the Level 1, 2, or 3 Credential Trainer. My name is Avril Mills, and I'm the Professional Development Coordinator here at the New York State Association for the Education of Young Children. This chart is a great visual to show why the New York State Early Learning Trainer Credential was developed. The end goal is providing what is best for children, and as you all know, that is high-quality programming. In order for this to occur, quality training must be provided to the early childhood providers in those direct care roles. As of January 1st of 2014, any trainer must hold the appropriate approved trainer type for the content that they are delivering if they'd like to be an approved training organization with the SUNY Professional Development Program and receive Educational Incentive Program dollars. It's important to note that a verified trainer can only accept EIP for the professional development that they provide that's matched to their approved training of the trainer's status. So, for example, if they're a first aid and CPR trainer, they can only receive EIP for first aid and CPR. Verified trainers cannot break apart content from the approved standardized training of the trainer and apply for EIP. For example, a health and safety trainer cannot provide a standalone training on hand washing and receive EIP for that training. As a verified trainer, you are only approved to train in the standardized content as it was developed to be delivered. Content specialist trainers can only receive EIP for the content area in which they've been approved. For example, an RN who's a content specialist in health can receive EIP for any content that they develop and deliver around the area of health. Finally, the Level 1, 2, or 3 credentialed trainer can receive EIP for any content that they develop and deliver around the 7 areas of the core body of knowledge and the 9 OCFS training topic areas. Note that a Level 1, 2, or 3 credentialed trainer does have an ethical obligation to only provide training in content areas that they hold the knowledge, experience, and expertise in. This is part of the NAEYC Code of Ethical Conduct for Adult Learners and is a strict guideline for maintaining the credential. Also, as a Level 1, 2, or 3 credentialed trainer, you are eligible for an enhanced hourly rate of up to $35 an hour for training content delivered. Please remember that all participants must be charged the same amount to attend a training organization professional development session, whether paying out of pocket or with EIP dollars. As of January 1st of 2015, the funding stream available for candidates wishing to obtain one of the New York State Early Learning Trainer Credential approved trainer types dissolved. Candidates are now responsible for all fees. Please note that this credential is not EIP eligible. The approved trainer type of the Level 1, 2, or 3 credential that is awarded through the New York State Association for the Education of Young Children has a total cost of $350, barring a deferral. The payment process is structured in 2 payments, the first payment being completed at the time of the intent to apply, which is a $100 non-refundable application or assessment fee. Once determined eligible, the candidate will have 30 days to complete the professional verification process and then move into the 90-day portfolio process. The assessment and review fee of $250 is due with the portfolio submission. In the event of a deferral, an additional $150 will be required for the second round of reviews. Please note that failure to submit required paperwork within defined timeframes will result in additional administrative processing fees in the potential deactivation of your trainer profile. Through December 31st of 2015, the current alternate pathways are in place for each level of the trainer credential to assist current providers of professional development with a route that meets their background. It's important to note that this chart requires a minimum of 2 years direct professional experience working with children and families in a professional capacity. Please note that this chart is good for the 2015 calendar year, and in 2016, these requirements will increase. Once a candidate's 3 references are approved, the candidate will be given 90 days to complete the portfolio process. The portfolio will address the competencies in the 4 knowledge base areas: knowledge of content, instructional design and development, presentation skills, and professionalism. You will need to choose 2 trainings, 2 consultations, or 1 training and 1 consultation to base your portfolio on. You'll choose based on what you do in your day-to-day work. If you only do group trainings, you will submit 2 separate group trainings in your portfolios. If you only provide consultation or technical assistance services, your portfolio will be based on 2 of those. However, if you do both, your portfolio should contain 1 of each. Please pay close attention to the definitions on the coming slides for what constitutes an eligible training or consultation. Please do not exceed the timeframes offered in the definition of the training or consultation. Also remember, the portfolio must be based on community-based, non-credit-bearing group trainings or consultations. For each training or consultation you've chosen to use in your portfolio, you will write an essay following the portfolio instructions and using the portfolio scoring tool on your knowledge of content and instructional design and development. You will also submit your evaluations for the presentation skills section. Eligible group trainings are non-credit-bearing, community-based workshops that are 1.5 to 3 hours in length that you as the trainer created, authored, and primarily presented in the last 3 years. Remember that standardized curricula cannot be used for your entries with the exception of a PITC workshop. The training was to be presented to a group of 20 people. This can be accomplished in 1 presentation of the workshop or multiple presentations of the same workshop in the last 3 years. Eligible consultation services must have been done in the last 3 years also. The consultation must be a resolution-based curricula created for a specific concern or set of concerns. Candidates who provide consultation services are encouraged to choose a program where a pre-evaluation was completed, a work plan was set into motion, and a post-evaluation of the program was completed to provide evidence of positive progress. The reviewer should feel as though they're reading how you both created your group training or your consultation, and by the end of that reading, by going through any of your trainer materials that you have submitted, they should almost feel as if they were present for that group training or consultation. This form is the portfolio checklist and should be the first page of your portfolio. Ensure the top address information is completed, as this is where your response regarding the credential will be mailed to. This checklist is to be used as a visual to ensure you've not missed any of the sections in the portfolio process. Please note, by using this, it'll give you an easy 4 in one of the scoring sections on the scoring tool, which is the highest score you can get, because we asked that the portfolio was divided into 8 readable sections. This is the portfolio entry cover sheet that's to be used at the front of each entry. It's an important part of the review process and must be completed for entry 1 and entry 2 of the portfolio. For each entry, you will choose the type of training or the type of professional development experience that you've provided, whether it's a group training or a consultation. The dates of the training and consultation are very important and must match the corresponding dates on the participant evaluations submitted. If it was a group training, A title of the workshop must be included. Next, you will choose the audience that you're training or the audience that attended the training or the consultation, as well as the age group of the children that the training or the consultation pertains to. You'll choose no more than 2 areas of the core body of knowledge. In a 1.5 to 3 hour workshop, there really isn't adequate time to cover any more of that. You'll also have to choose your OCFS topic areas. Again, I'm going to say you want to keep it to 2 or less areas. You'll also choose the level of the participants that attended your group training or your consultation. Remember, when making these choices, the time frames for the training or consultation do not allow for all topics to be covered fully. So choose what the majority of your presentation covered. It also doesn't allow for all age groups to be covered and even all audiences to be covered. This cover sheet is referred back to during the review process to ensure consistency. For each entry, you'll be discussing your knowledge of content. It's important that you relate your education and experience directly to the content of the workshop, speaking about the specific coursework or continuing education classes that you've taken to give you the knowledge in the area of the topic, as well as your direct experience which you've learned and grown from in this topic area. This section is to support why you have the knowledge to train on the topic. Be very specific in your statements. Along with using the portfolio instructions when writing your entries, I highly encourage you to use the portfolio scoring tool to assist you in your writing. The scoring tool is used starting at a 0 rating and moving up to the next number, knowing that you must meet all of the criteria in the higher score in order to reach that number. Please note that no half-point scores are given. You must fully meet the criteria in each box. Also remember to start at the 0 and move up from there, knowing that each box provides additional information that needs to be built upon. So if you look at the scoring tool and only read what it says in the 4 boxes or the 3 boxes, you're going to miss information that was in those lower box numbers that needs to be covered in your essays. The next couple of slides relate to the direct competencies in the questions being asked. It's important to know that in the knowledge of content and instructional design and development essays, you'll be speaking to all of the competencies. Also, please know that there is redundancy in the competencies. A round of revisions to be rolled out early next year is currently being worked on so that each competency can be taken in a different, more individual manner. As stated before, the knowledge of content essay will start with your qualifications to be presenting on the topic. This should look very different for each entry, as you will not be submitting 2 of the same trainings or consultations in your portfolio. It's important to submit 2 different content areas to show that you have a diverse background. Please be careful with any copying and pasting that you do between any of your entries. This often results in a deferral if the information does not speak to the topic on the entry cover sheet. The second part of the knowledge of content entry is stating the current resources and research that you use to help develop and support your knowledge on this topic. You want to speak about the learning objectives for the training or consultation and how that research and resources supported them. The third section in the knowledge of content is speaking to the participants who took your training or were part of the consultation. You'll want to describe how the training was relevant to the participants' needs and how you knew what those needs were, how the participants will be putting theory into practice after the training or consultation, specific tools you've given them to use, and also discuss the diversity of the children and families that those individuals represent and how the content applies to them. Section 4 of Knowledge of Content will speak to how you ensure the content provided was consistent with and promoted compliance. you'll want to describe specific regulations, policies, and/or quality standards that are addressed in the topic. The final section of knowledge of content will be discussing your knowledge of learning standards for both professionals and children. You'll need to address the specific standards you're meeting with the content and the instructional methods that you use. So in this specific entry, you're going to be speaking to your core body of knowledge and what knowledge base areas this training meets. As you proofread your entry for knowledge of content, score yourself using the portfolio scoring tool to ensure that you're covering each section to its fullest and the best of your ability. The statements must be specific to the content of the topic. Remember that this particular entry is to tell why you're able to train on this specific content. Do I have any questions on knowledge of content? In the instructional development and design section, the reviewer should have the information to assess how the training or consultation was developed and how it supported the learning objectives. Also, by the end of this section, the reviewer should feel as though they were present for the training or consultation. The final part of this section will be including your PowerPoint slides with trainer notes or just your agenda with trainer notes with all of the information presented as well as a copy of the handout. Statement 1 for instructional development and design is speaking to the learning objectives for the participants of the training or consultation. These objectives must be measurable. To ensure they're measurable, you'll want to describe how you're going to measure them throughout the training or consultation. It's important that you begin to use SMART learning objectives, and for additional information on writing SMART learning objectives, you can download that information from the Trainer and Coaches tab on the New York Works for Children website. That's going to give you really good guidance on how to write those measurable learning objectives. Please note that throughout this section, you do relate back to your learning objectives. Statement 2 of the Instructional Design and Development section is about how the training was developed with sound theories and principles of adult learning. You'll want to speak to the different methods used to help participants learn and apply the methods, and when applicable, to apply it to the specific learning objectives for that training or consultation. So here you're going to want to speak about the theorist you use, the methods of that theorist, and how it met the needs of the participants in your training, what their learning needs were. In your third statement for instructional development and design, you'll be describing the methods used to determine the participants' learning needs. Many times in a consultation or a training, you'll find that the group sitting in front of you is in the room for a different reason than what you were originally prepared for. So in that instance, how did you make changes to your delivery to meet the needs of the group while continuing to meet the learning objectives and teaching the content of the workshop? Also in this statement, you'll need to address how you continually assess the participants' learning throughout the training or consultation and any changes that you had to make in the event that the group was more advanced than you initially had prepared for. So what did you have to change to make it more applicable to where their learning level was, or the opposite of that, they weren't quite getting the content, so what changes did you have to make in order to help them understand what you were trying to teach them? The fourth and fifth statements in instructional design and development is about putting theory into practice. You address this on a smaller scale in your knowledge of content essay. In this statement, you'll want to describe how the audience was actively engaged, how this engagement met learning objectives, and how you see them using this in their work. Although we can't prove that they're going to use it in their work, we want to see how the thought process that you've put into this so that you're aware of how you hope that they will use this in their work. So these questions can all be answered in the same statement. These two particular questions really support one another. The final part of instructional design and development is including a timed agenda with trainer notes or PowerPoint slides including your trainer notes, as well as a set of handouts given to all participants. Ensure there's proper copyright information on all the handouts and any non-original materials. The purpose of the trainer notes or the PowerPoint slides with the trainer notes is to walk the reviewer through the trainer or consultation so they feel as though they were a participant themselves. As previously stated, ensure that the information in each entry is specific to the topic on the entry cover sheet. Be sure that you have measurable objectives and you've related them to the appropriate sections of the entry for instructional design and development. Again, score yourself using that portfolio scoring tool to ensure you've covered each area to your fullest ability. I'll reiterate again how the scoring tool works. The reviewers start at the 0 rating and move up to the higher number when all of the criteria in that higher number box was met. The scoring process is not a secret. We really do want you to use it to your advantage. Do I have any questions on instructional design and development? Your entry for presentation skills are specific to a time-framed agenda in the evaluation submitted by the participants of the training or the consultation. There is no written statement for this particular section. You must include an agenda with the time designations for the training or consultation in this section. This is to see if you have an appropriate amount of time to cover the content and materials adequately. The evaluations of the training or consultation are the only other materials submitted in this section. The evaluation tool is first evaluated to ensure it speaks to the 4 knowledge-based areas of the credential: knowledge of the presenter's knowledge of content, the presenter's instructional design and development, the presenter's presentation skills, as well as the presenter's professionalism. This is an example of an evaluation tool that meets the 4 knowledge-based areas. This sample can be found on our website, but please note that it is not required that you use this evaluation tool. You can use it just to grab questions off of it to put on your own evaluation tool. I do know that trainers often like to collect additional information from their participants so it can help them better develop other group trainings or consultations for the future. Please note that the tool does include the title of the workshop, the date of the workshop, and the name of the presenter. All of these must be on any evaluation tools that you submit for this credential. All of this information is looked at for consistency purposes. For a consultation evaluation like this can also be used, but instead of a workshop title, it might say consultation. There would also be a range of dates for the potential meetings and the work that occurred with a consultation. The final item looked at in the presentation skills is the number of evaluations. As previously stated, training should have 20 participants, either through one presentation or multiple presentations of the same training in the last 3 years. This is occasionally unobtainable. Therefore, if a training submitted does not have the minimum 20 evaluations completed, you must submit a roster of attendees with a 90% return rate of evaluations. Also, please note that a training submitted with less than 10 evaluations cannot score above a 2 in this section. With consultations, it's best to have a participant complete an evaluation form to ensure that the knowledge-based areas are covered. Because consultations are more personal, you're more likely able to go back to that person and have them complete an evaluation where you don't have that luxury with a group training. Many times this section does score low because trainers do not use a tool that meets the competencies. This process is to enable you to use best practices when you're creating trainings or consultations. So part of that may be updating your tool to meet best practice standards. If your tool does not meet the competencies, please be aware and score yourself accordingly so that you'll know where you need to better develop your portfolio and other sections to help you make up for lower scores. Please note that you should not leave this section empty. Portfolios submitted with no evaluations will be an automatic denial because you automatically will get 4 zeros. So please make sure you're submitting your evaluations. Do I have any questions on the presentation skills section? The final written entry in the portfolio after you've completed your knowledge of content and instructional design and development essays and put your evaluations in for the presentation skills for entries 1 and 2 will be the professionalism essay. In this entry, you'll choose to speak to 4 competencies that you feel speak to your personal professionalism. At the end of this entry, you'll discuss your future plans for your own professional development and speak to areas which you would like to grow in and set professional goals in. There are 10 competencies for you to choose from within this section. This entry is the icing on the cake for your portfolio. By the time the reviewer gets to the statement, they will already have a good feel for your competency level in professionalism based on the information provided in entry 1 and 2. Please remember to speak to the competency numbers that you're addressing. So for instance, if you choose to speak to professionalism competency number 6 adheres to the NYSELTC Code of Ethical Conduct for Adult Learners, you're going to want to put D6 next to your whatever you write for that particular competency on how you do that. Do I have any questions on professionalism? Here are just a few quick and easy tips regarding the portfolio and organization. The last section scored in your portfolio scoring tool speaks to the organization of your portfolio and your proofreading of the portfolio. We do ask that your binder is kept to nothing larger than 1.5 inches. Ensure you do not include any non-pertinent information in the binder. And feel free to use any photographs or tape your training or consultation for reviewers to use. Please note that entries still must be written when a recorded version of the training is submitted. Portfolios are reviewed by New York State Early Learning Trainer Credential trained reviewers. All reviewers hold the credential. Reviewers use the portfolio scoring tool, which is provided to you so you can understand how scoring is completed. Reviewers start at the 0 rating and move up from there, knowing that all criteria in each number box must be met to receive the higher score. If the credential is awarded, you'll be notified via email regarding the approval. Your certificate will be mailed to you, and you'll receive an email on how to have your portfolios returned to you if you so wish. If your credential is deferred, you will receive your portfolios back with a letter stating the specific areas on the portfolio scoring tool in which you scored a 2 or below in, so that you can make changes and additions to those entries and resubmit within 60 days, along with the $150 resubmission review fee. If the credential is denied, you'll be notified via a letter that will also state the areas you scored a 2 or below in. The credential is denied when a score of less than 65 is achieved or a portfolio is deferred twice. Candidates who are denied can reapply 1 year after denial. Please remember, if you were denied, you're still able to train. However, you will not be able to accept EIP dollars as a form of payment from your participants. In addition to recorded webinars and webinars that we hold on a regular basis, I am available at any time for questions, and also Sneh Modi, who works in our office, is available for assistance too. We are rolling out another round of the 1 through 4 Trainer Institute series regarding the core body of knowledge, which will support the portfolio process for obtaining this credential. Those dates will go out within the next week, I would say. They start at the end of September and run through December. We are covering the Albany region, New York City region, and Rochester region with those events between September and December. And here is my contact information for all of you. And I will take any additional questions at this time. I'm going to unmute everybody right now in case you have any questions. Do I have any additional questions? Okay, so I will sign off, and I look forward to working with you as you go through this process. Thank you for your interest in improving the quality of professional development in the state of New York. Have a great day.